All right, guys. Hope you're having a great weekend thus far, and hope you have a very Merry Christmas ahead. Taking a look at the charts right here, we're going to look at the NASDAQ and a few other tech names. Looking at the charts right now, some people might be questioning, are we entering a bear phase, a bear market after the big decline last week? We also had a big rebound, though, and some other people may be thinking, hey, you know what, just buy the dip, might go right back up to all-time highs. We're going to take a look at what might be the most likely scenario in this case, which as of now, I think the most likely scenario is that we end up setting a lower high on this move up. So potentially we move up a little bit more. A few other levels that I'm looking at, that 8-day moving average, that 4-week moving average. You can see the red line over there. If we look on the QQQ, that 4-week moving average, not sure exactly where it's going to be, but I'm going to guess it's going to be around 523, 524. Maybe a little bit higher. We're going to have some resistance around those levels, and that lines up with that high of the rebound that we got on Friday, which was 524.82. So we're going to have some resistance around those levels. If we're able to break that resistance, I'd still be looking for what would likely be a lower high below the all-time high before the bears try to step in again and reject that all-time high. Because what the bears are going to be looking for ideally is a lower high and then a lower low, and that would give them a lot of momentum to the downside. If we get that rebound, they set that lower high and then get a lower low, that would be the beginning of a downtrend. That would show a downtrend where you have a lower high and a lower low. Right now, we just have a straight from all-time highs to a low, and we have not entered into any sort of downtrend as of now. It's just a flush, and it could rebound right back up and maybe even higher, as we've seen many times in the past. So if the bears really want momentum, ideally get a little bit more of a rebound. You set a double top on the weekly, you get that lower high, and then you flush down to a lower low. That would give the bears the most momentum, in my opinion, if this is indeed a temporary top on the market. But as of now, looking on the weekly time frame, we're still holding the moving averages. We're holding at least the green line, which is the 8-week moving average. And we are in the futures as well. And I'd say as long as we're holding that 8-week moving average, I would lean still more towards bullish momentum. But my thought is the most likely scenario is because we've had such a big move up and the bulls are very strong still. So right now, there's not enough reason for the bears to take over at the moment. Of course, the Fed lowered expectations for interest rate cuts next year. And of course, that's put a hamper on the markets. That's why we got that big sell-off last week, because the Fed was expected to cut as much as 5 times next year, and now they're expected to cut maybe just 2 times. So that's why we got that big sell-off last week. But as of now, I don't know if that's enough to really turn this momentum around to the downside and top out the markets. We do have a bit of an indecision candlestick on the weekly. Yeah, we broke some key supports. We took more than 2 weeks of an uptrend, all gone in one day. But that's what the bears typically do. They come out of nowhere. They strike fast, stairs up, elevator down. Now we might get that little bit of a stairs up again. And, I'm thinking most likely we're going to kind of tighten up because we've had such a big move up. But anything's possible in this market. We've seen these dips get bought right back up, V-shaped recovery to all-time highs. And it's very possible that this ends up being a bear flag on the daily as well, and we flush down to lower lows. I'm leaning mostly towards a little bit of an up and down range for possible several weeks. We're entering a holiday break right now. Plus, now the markets want to see Trump's getting elected soon. Now the markets want to see if he's actually going to start following through on some of his promises. That's why you're getting a pullback in crypto too. This may not necessarily be the top in crypto. I think it might be, but I'm just bearish crypto in general. But I think also the markets are saying, okay, we went up a lot based on Trump's, some of the policies that he says he's going to put forward. Now we want to see if he's actually going to do what he says. So now the market's saying, okay, let's trim some profits off the table. Let's wait and see. Let's take a wait and see approach and see if Trump actually follows through on his words. So with that in mind, we might get a little bit slow action, maybe leading up to the inauguration and a little bit after, until we start getting some concrete reasons, some concrete policies and things happening to drive the markets either higher or lower. Tesla, clear big pullback as well over here. Again, we just went straight from highs to lows. But this, obviously the bears got a lot of momentum here. Every high, every rebound is getting sold off. This is an inverted hammer, which is sometimes a signal of a bottom, and there's a little bit higher volume there as well. So this may be our bottom, and it's right around this support over here on Tesla. We got a big reversal candlestick right now. We're going to see, I think we possibly might break the low of last week a little bit, and I'm still looking for us to hold this red line, which is the 4-week moving average, and we'll probably bounce off that this week and maybe get a little bit of a bounce there up to the upper Bollinger Band of the weekly and get a pretty tight range. So we're going to be closed. I believe it's Christmas Day. The markets are closed. So clearly we've set a temporary top of the markets right now, but I don't think at this moment, I don't have enough reason to believe that that is the top for a while, and I'm not looking at right now for any sort of big bearish move down further at the moment. If we do get a lower high, if we do have reason to believe that Trump's not going to follow through on his policies, if there's more uncertainty in the markets, if these bond yields keep rising, this is another big factor. These bond yields, if they go and break that 5% mark, the 10-year treasury, then we might have a problem for the markets. But then again, we have to understand that this is selling off because even though the US dollar is strong, there still is a lot of inflation around the globe. And even though the US dollar is strong in comparison to other currencies, fiat currencies in general continue to weaken. And that's why bond yields are still rising despite the Fed cutting interest rates. The anticipation for future inflation remains. So if this starts passing that 5% mark, then the markets might have a problem. But that's a little bit of a win and lose scenario for the bulls, because in a way, if the currency is weakening and bond yields are going up, it kind of only gives you more reason to get rid of your currency and to invest it in the markets, right? To protect yourself against that inflation. On the other hand, at least temporarily, when the bond yields go up, that puts pressure on people that are in debt and all this leverage in the markets, and at least temporary, that tends to cause a sell-off. But just as if we've seen in 2022, the rates were going up and the market was really pushing down in 2022 because a lot of leverage was getting squeezed out. People were over leveraged, the rates were going up, all that leverage was getting squeezed out. But then the market started rising again, even though the interest rates were still high at the time. And I think they went even higher after. It did go even higher after, and the markets were still going up. So when the rates go up, it tends to cause at least a temporary decline in the markets, but eventually the markets will come back. So it's like a temporary deleveraging event, but the markets tend to come roaring back eventually, especially because the currency is weakening. People want to protect themselves against inflation. So overall, at this point, I'm still leaning bullish the markets, but I am cautious about what I think might be some consolidation, some up and down movement, some choppiness back and forth until Trump's inauguration and until we start to see some concrete things that he's going to put in place. So right now, we had that big move up after Trump got elected because the markets got rid of that uncertainty. Who's the next president going to be? The markets were uncertain for several months. Look at that choppiness, that choppy action, all that uncertainty. And then as soon as Trump was elected, a lot of that uncertainty was gone. Now we know who won, and the markets got that breakout. So now we're going to have some uncertainty coming back saying, hey, is Trump actually going to follow through on what he says? And that might give us a little bit of choppiness in the coming weeks, the coming months. But I'm hoping and positive that we will have some more action, because we've been getting a lot of action. It's easy to make money when you get these big up and down movements, in my opinion. That's when I like to trade. That's when I tend to make money. And I hope we get a lot more of it. You know, I just think I have to be a little bit cautious that, hey, we've had so much action, so much movement. You know, we're entering a little bit of holidays right now. We got Trump's inauguration coming up. It might be time to just be cautious that things might get a little tight. We might tighten up a bit. So I'm still leaning bearish Bitcoin. I'm leaning bullish gold. Gold is still holding support here. Almost looks like a bearish head and shoulders, but the bears are just not able to follow through, and failed bear patterns tend to be very bullish. So I'm leaning bullish gold, and I think we're going to play tag, where gold's been slow for 3 months. And I think it's going to play tag and go back to, okay, QQQ, the market's had their time. Now tap in gold. Gold's going to have a move now, move up, gold next leg up while the markets consolidate. That's what I'm thinking right now. And, you know, that's something I'm looking for. And a few other stocks I'm keeping an eye on. Roblox looks like still a lot of bullish momentum here. Rocket Lab possibly. A little bit of a bull flag forming, but it's been choppy around this area. A little bit concerned here. This is one of the Trump names too, because Trump is supposed to be favored the space stocks as well. That's why part of why the stock went up so much. Okay, so a lot of things that I'm keeping my eye on. We'll see how it goes in the coming weeks. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. And if you want more information and daily updates, join the Discord. I'll put the link in the description of this video.